As always, hihintayin muna natin si Bruce Lim na igalawang baso.
Yeah.
Ayun na.
There it is. Hey, Bruce.
We're online. We're live. Yay. Hi, Bruce.
I gotta thank Bruce. He gave me this great tip earlier about Xbox, since palas kaming may Xbox. So thank you, Bruce, for that one again.
Si Bruce
My
Lim,
boy
nabawi
Bruce
na niya
is.
yung- Nabawi na niya yung title
My boy
niya.
Bruce
of
is watching
first,
me.
diba?
Bruce is also watching me on TikTok. Diba?
Hey, we are live on TikTok, guys.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I'm live on TikTok. You're not.
Yung pakulay no road. No, are you wrestling? Di ba wrestling yan?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, it's the Wrestling podcast live on TikTok, but it's just me.
Oh, okay.
It's just me. Not the.
Ay, ikaw lang yung nakikita. Okay.
Yeah.
Glendale, hello.
Okay. Kala ko to. Yeah, gets. Okay, hindi pa pala natin nagagawa. Okay, gets. It is, gusto nyo magpaulan ng roses kay Ro. Pwede nyo gawin yan.
Yeah, para give us some money.
Hindi ko alam kung gagawin nyo yung AI effect na kasama nun.
AI. What AI effect?
You not see that on the lives? Mga...
No, I don't watch the lives on TikTok. Does Rhea have a match at SummerSlam?
Wala.
Parang wala.
No, she doesn't.
Wala.
So, what up, Referee Ryan of SPW, if that is your real name? Sorry, on TikTok, not here.
What's up, Awi? Congrats on the new job, man.
Hey, Awi,
Hope you get
congrats on the
very
new
well.
job, man. Oh. Well, can you tell us what the new job is? I explained my thoughts on RVD. Dude, sorry, TikTok. Joseph John, man. Go watch us on Facebook.
Yeah.
We're here on Facebook and YouTube. I will, after explaining it twice on the pre-show, I want you to hear me explain it again on Facebook. Where's the name Mysterio?
Possible but to drop the link? Maybe you can drop the link there so they can actually
No, it's on
access
your
stream.
app. I don't know to drop the link here.
Yeah.
Ano,
Yeah.
As a comment.
ano ba? As a comment, yeah.
Yeah, you can pin shit on the lives.
Or I can try to
Facebook.com.
reply. Teka, let me try
No,
to
I
put the
can
link.
reply. I can reply.
Ayun, perfect.
Walang done. It's just wrestling podcast.
Where? On YouTube?
On the URL.
Parang wala.
Okay, so dropping it here.
We are working on
Unbox
that
everything.
currently, admin Angelo. Working on.
Fucking
getting
explained
on
it. I
TikTok.
explained it when I went live on TikTok that I was doing this
But
for
these guys
the club.
clearly are not on TikTok. See, they're
No,
commenting here. So,
Admin Angela was the first person to watch the TikTok
ba't
live.
niya tinanong dito? So,
Ewan ko sa kanya.
tinanong
kasi
niya
ano
eh.
siya.
Sinagot ko lang naman. Huwag ka magalit sa akin. Magalit ka sa kanya.
Yeah.
Yes, Leo. Rest in peace to Paul Rubens or
R.I.P.
PB Herman.
Pee-wee. Yeah.
Yeah, Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah, alright. R.I.P. to the spleen, Barry. That's the spleen
The
from
spleen.
Mystery. That's right. Yeah.
Less than a minute before we go live. To everyone watching on TikTok, please, I dropped the link. Please go to the link. The rest of the show is going to be on there. All of our thoughts, not just mine, are going to be on there.
Pero kung gusto niyo yung POV lang ni Ro, just stay on TikTok. Pwede din
Yeah,
naman.
but they won't hear. They'll only hear like 1/4 of the conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, shut up na tayo.
What's going on? This is Xavier Woods, aka Austin Creed.
Welcome to the big time!
Hello, WWE Universe in the Philippines. This is Charlotte.
You know your damn role and shut your damn mouth.
Hey everyone, this is Jeff Cobb.
I have to finish the story.
We are pretty deadly. Yes, boy. Yes, boy.
Hello, my name is Ilya Dragunov, the star.
Bang! The sniper is shooting you down. This is TMDK's Robbie Eagles, and you are listening to the Wrestling Podcast.
You're watching and listening to the longest running weekly episodic Filipino wrestling podcast. This is the Wrestling Podcast. Stan C, Ro Moran, Chino Liao, and Emil ASH. We've got a packed house. We're also streaming 1/4 of the show on TikTok at Wrestling2X Pod. Thank you, Ro. We're always trying new things and innovating right here on the Wrestling Podcast. So as JK is mentioning in the comments, we're so proud to be your Thursday night tradition here in here in the Philippines or in whatever part of the world you're at.
Just the first few minutes of the show, because I can't do this at the same time. Like they'll only be hearing 1/4 of the conversation. So after we hit the 25-minute threshold, and after I promote the SummerSlam viewing party, I will close the TikTok special.
All right. We've got a lot to talk about. As Ro mentioned, SummerSlam is happening this weekend, the biggest party of the summer for the WWE and for the western part of the world, whereas for us, clearly maulan na. So it's not summer at all in our part of the world. But it's the one day of the year, the one time of the year where it's acceptable for me to bust out my SummerSlam t-shirt. And it's one of the rare times that we get together as a wrestling community and convene for a viewing party. So how about we promote the viewing party at Skinny Mike's one last time for our listeners?
All right, guys. As you know, Sempre SummerSlam now on Sunday morning Manila time. So if you want to watch it, if you're in Manila, if you're watching this on TikTok Live, if you're in Manila as well, and you want to watch SummerSlam 2023 with a bunch of wrestling fans and fanatics and maybe cosplayers, who knows who's going to be there. We'll also be there with our friends from Geek Talk PH, the Galactic Shark, and Legend Dennis, and a whole bunch of other Geek Talk PH luminaries will be there to watch the show. Geek Talk PH because has become a big wrestling fandom as of now. Dati kami lang nina Del Rosario's, and now it's a whole bunch of people now taking over the chat with wrestling. But yes, we'll be there to watch main event, Jey Uso go up against the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns for the UWO Championship. We'll watch Seth Rollins defend his title from Finn Balor and the guy who's trying to make him a 7-year bitch and all of that other good stuff. There's also a battle royal in which people want LA Knight to win, so there's that as well. So if you want to catch all of that, please join us at the SummerSlam watch party over at Skinny Mike Sports Bar in Bonifacio, Global City. Online tickets are no longer being sold. I'm so sorry if you missed it. The last day was on August 1 officially kasi late nagsara. But you can still get your tickets at the door. It's only 500 pesos. Gates open at 6:30 a.m. You want to be there early because you want to get your spot at the bar. Prior experience will tell you that the tables fill up pretty easily. No joke, yan, especially during big pay-per-view season. So please go and check that out. That 500 pesos will also net you a free drink and also automatic entry to our raffle. I forgot to mention before that we do have a raffle. We'll be giving away some an action figure and some shirts from our friends at Everybody's Toys and Collectibles. So yeah, it's another incentive for you to try and join us. So please go check that out at Skinny Mike Sports Bar BGC. But also, if that is too far from you, if you live in the north and you want to get to somewhere a little closer, our friends at Hobby Stadium will also be holding a SummerSlam watch party of their own. It's free, but please, let's support their business. Bili kayong coffee, bili kayong drinks, bili kayong food. Breakfast is great over there. Wag naman kayong mahiya. Wag kayong nakakaya dun kasi nag-business into that. So it's all good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be at the Hobby Stadium
please,
viewing party.
Yeah. Yes.
Yun. So if you guys
want to say hi to Chino for whatever.
Nandun na representing the podcast in my neck of the woods here. So please, guys, come out, support both venues if you can. If it's more convenient for you to be in the north, then be in the north. Wherever you are in Metro Manila, there is no reason for you to miss out on a SummerSlam
Yeah.
viewing party.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of viewing parties for you anywhere you are in the north or in the south or in the central area of Metro Manila. So please, let's hang out, let's watch the show, and let's all have fun. Maybe we'll be surprised pleasantly at the events of the show.
Yeah. And for those of you who will be at the viewing party for the first time, we'll have Tagalog commentary pumping through the speakers at an actual sports bar in the Philippines. So thank you to Ro for figuring that stuff out. And they'll be setting everything up over at Skinny Mike's this Sunday. We've also got to let you know that we have a growing wrestling podcast patron community, which will come in handy because there's another big show happening at the end of the month. So, Emil, why don't you let the people know what's happening over on Patreon?
Right. So if you want to join that growing community, all you have to do is subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/wrestling podcast for only $5 or in local currency. It's around 270, 280 pesos. So like Stan said here, we do have the watch parties, and the next aside from SummerSlam this month as well, we will have the All In AEW All In. And All Out as well. So all the same week lang sila. And so you could join our watch party over on Discord, and you can also interact with us over on Discord. You can talk to us about anything, wrestling, memes, sports, music, anything, and everything under the sun. Also, there's some other perks as well. If you join our Patreon, of course, we have our pasabays. So if you want to get your authentic wrestling merch, WWE, AEW, or any other wrestling merch that you want, you can get it through us. And you can also enjoy the review content of the weekly wrestling shows like Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Dynamite, Collision, and some local wrestling events as well, courtesy of Raw and ASH. And by subscribing to our Patreon, you're supporting everything that we do here on the podcast. So again, please subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/wrestling podcast for only $5.
All right. Thank you very much, Emil. Great to have everybody back, or almost everybody, kasi wala pa rin si Rowan. He's back in school. Chino's back from mounting events. Emil is back with a reliable internet connection in Metro Manila, and I'm back from Asia Basket coverage. So let's get this thing rolling, and let's start off with some AEW talk. And we're going to kick things off with Dynamite 200, which happened this morning, Manila time. So how about we compare things first, since medyo retrospective din naman yung approach nila with celebrating the 200th episode of Dynamite. Maybe we can compare how you thought of Dynamite when it started in 2019 versus what Dynamite has become today. Let's start with you, Chino. What do you think about Dynamite 200?
It was first dun muna tayo sa comparison. Original Dynamite, the Dynamite that first aired however many years ago already, was promised a lot of things to us, diba? Parang it promised an alternative to the WWE. It promised to change the wrestling landscape here. I don't necessarily know kung nagawa ba nila yun. But I can't really say, gun to my head, I can't really say kung nabago ba nila yung wrestling landscape. Yes, I guess na-hire nila lahat ng mga umayaw sa WWE, and that's a good thing because wrestlers need jobs. But then at the same time, I still don't think that they are the status quo that they think they are, na nakakapagdikta pa rin sila in the manner that Tony Khan thinks he can. So I still feel like it's most of the time, Dynamite has been pretty mid for me. Other AEW products, not so much. But Dynamite, because it has to be at par with Collision now, and then Rampage before, and then all the, they used to have all these YouTube shows. Parang dumating na siya sa point na hindi na siya as must-watch as it once was. So, I don't know, man. That's just how I'm feeling about the current Dynamite on its own. Diba? I'm more excited for Collision at this point because the matches the match quality is a lot better for me. But Dynamite is still Dynamite. It was the first one to break ground. Diba?
Mm-hmm. Let's say hi to Kurt Jimenez of MWF, one of my stablemates over in the Oro Plata Mata faction. Thanks for tuning in, bud. Ikaw, Emil, what do you think about Dynamite 200 versus the very first episode all the way back in 2019?
Dynamite, very different na siya compared to what it was when it started. Kasi before, it was the only show they have. So before, there's this must-watch this much watch feel of every Dynamite, because every big match will always happen on Dynamite, especially back then na yung pay-per-views, I mean, even now yung pay-per-views, ano lang siya, it comes once in 3 months. So as much as possible, TK was trying to pack as much great matches on TV as much as he can. And then now that we have Rampage and Collision, may mga weeks na you could afford to miss Dynamite, pero pero there's still may mga bangers pa din every once in a while. And I did notice na before there used to be a great balance of segments, video vignettes, and then matches. Pero since like 2022, where the roster was mas parang bloated na siya, there are some Dynamites where it felt like it was a it's a indie super card. Na it's match after match after match after match. And yun yung mga weeks na feel ko it's not as parang naboboring ako, because because a normal TV like episode of wrestling, it's a great mix of everything talaga, not just matches, because yung mga full of matches, they should be reserved for pay-per-views or special events. So, but it's still great na 4 years later, Dynamite is still going strong. And lumipat na sila ng network. They're now in a network where mas madami ng tao nakapanood sa kanila every
No, they're
week.
still
And
on the same network, just a different channel. We have to make that clear.
different channel, different channel where
ABS Studio 23, parang ganun.
yeah, na mas madami nang nakapanood sa kanila every week. So
I'm glad you said that, yung variety of the segments, because there was a time with early Dynamite na it was so hard for me to watch just because parang sobrang breakneck pace siya eh. Like match, segment, interview, match. Parang wala siyang breathing room. And I don't know if you guys noticed that, but that was one of my early criticisms of the show and the viewing experience. Parang nakakapagod siya and you don't absorb anything because everything was right in your face and was happening all at once with no wiggle room or breathing room. Ikaw, Ro, did you notice any big improvement or decline with Dynamite 200 compared to Dynamite in its early days?
Saying hey first to our big boss Ron. What up, man? Thank you for tuning in. You could have said you were jumping in. We could have put you on. Sayang yan. What's up, boss? Okay, a lot of interesting points brought up by both you guys and the chat. First, I want to address Leo. Gising sila after seeing the book women's wrestling women's division better sign from last week. Tony Khan just made women's championship match a main event. He didn't add another women's match on the show, so he thinks he's, but I can see what he's doing because he's been doing that a lot lately. He thinks that he can get away with the token women's match if it's the main event. He did that on Rampage, he did that on ROH. So no, he's not slick. It's still something that he needs to work on because it's not something that you should take like. If WWE can put on more than one women's match every night, there's no reason for you not to. All right. A lot of things that were said. Emil mentioned that it was an indie super card. I actually agree. If you guys are okay, I know that you guys read the reviews, but I did write a little while back that I kind of figured out what Dynamite really was. It really is. Tony Khan really books it as a really nice independent wrestling supercard, and there was a point where I said, no, maybe he should just book it that way. Just put on matches for the sake of having matches and not for the sake of having stories. To say it makes more sense, and it leaves him, little room for telling bad stories if you just put on matches every week. Because sometimes that's what happens. When you fucking put Pac versus Gravity on a card as a joke, you might as well be doing that. So as for the difference between now and then, the addition of extra shows has definitely helped yung pacing ng segments on Dynamite. But oh boy, am I really that laggy? Wait.
Yes, but keep talking. Naririnig ka naman namin.
Okay, fuck. All right. Okay. Okay. Let me fix it. Let me fix my internet after this. All right. So it's better paced now than it was before. So okay lang din, but syempre Chino's right. It's also not as story heavy as Collision is. So I have thoughts about how Collision is. We'll get to that later, but on the most part, Dynamite is still Dynamite, and if you like it for what it is, it's not that much unchanged.
All right. Just to answer Boss Ron's question here in the comments, is the JAS done? We're about to find out by next week kasi nagtawag ng meeting si Daddy Magic of all people. So that should be something to keep our eyes out for Dynamite 201. Uh, let's talk about the women's division because there was a big change at the end of the show after the token women's match. Hikaru Shida has become the AEW Women's World Champion. Emil, this really throws a wrench into the plans heading into All In because a lot of people were speculating we were going to get Jamie Hayter versus Tony Storm, but now reports are coming out that Jamie Hayter is reportedly more injured than everyone expected. So we might not get Jamie Hayter versus Tony Storm at All In.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because it should have been like a hometown heroes welcome for Jamie Hayter, pero unfortunately injuries do happen, and it sucks na she's still not going to be cleared by the time all in nasa all in. And pero honestly, I'm fine if Jamie isn't cleared. I'm fine na they gave the ball to Shida because they need something to refresh the women's division, and she's an old reliable, like one of the best talents in their division. So build the division around her, I guess. Maybe I'll give TK again one more chance to maybe fix the women's division booking, and giving Sheeta the title is siguro it's a good first step in the right direction for me.
I don't think you can fix an entire division and its booking just by making one person champion. That being said, I think making Shida the champion is a great acknowledgement of what she did nung pandemic era or the lockdown era, where she won the championship in front of zero fans and had to carry that title and the division for an entire year. So, Chino, what does that tell you?
It's telling me that they're giving her the Drew McIntyre rub, diba? A thank you, sort of to Shida and all she's done for the company. She really told the line during the pandemic, and while I understand that the Jamie Hayter situation is unfortunate, it also provides opportunity for people in the same spotlight to step up, diba? Like, see, if we're talking about a London show, Saraya is right there. I don't know if she can wrestle the championship match, but hey, she's right there. She is also British, diba? Make her do the thing and maybe lose to Shida, diba? Make it convincing and give the fans what they want and check all the boxes in terms of a women's match. Ang problema ko lang dito is even if this was the a game-changing match that everybody wanted, it was also parang too little too late. Because again, we only got this one match at the very end of Dynamite. It's still a disservice to the women 200 shows in. So parang I don't really know how invested somebody can be in a women's match kung yung women's match ginagawang bathroom break match.
Mm-hmm. While Ro tries to fix his internet, let's address the announcement that the Elite made during Dynamite 200, and that is that all of them, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, even Hangman, they've all re-signed with AEW, and Kenny even hinted at appearing on Collision. Now, maybe that last part, he's just teasing us, right? And we have more thoughts on Collision, which we can get to in the audio-only version, but this is huge because there were rumors for weeks that WWE was making an active play at Kenny Omega. So, Chino, what do you think about this development, especially since the promotion is literally named All Elite Wrestling?
Good for them because the main dude that really started the ball moving actually ended up moving to the WWE side of things, and I don't really know how much Cody Rhodes had to do with the Kenny Omega fishing situation here. Pero the fact that the Elite are staying in AEW just means that AEW gets to keep its franchise talent, diba? The talent that people actually started watching AEW for, the people who fought for this company to be a thing, diba? Who courted Tony Khan and asked the people to care about their side of the wrestling product. So at least nandun pa rin sila. They were able to stand by their beginnings, diba? Where they kicked things off, where they wanted to do things differently. Kasi for me, if Kenny Omega ends up leaving AEW, tapos tumalon siya sa WWE, I'll feel the same way as Cody Rhodes, as I did when Cody Rhodes jumped ship. Diba? Na parang, ba't ka umalis? Eh, ikaw nagsimula yan, tapos iniwan mo lang. So for me, the fact that the Elite decided to stay where they are and really push their product a little bit further just goes to show that the dedication, that they have for AEW.
If you guys watch yung documentary on Cody Rhodes, which is now out on Peacock or wherever the high seas you sail, you'll hear Cody actually address yung departure niya from AEW. He doesn't get into the specifics. He only mentions na it was a personal issue. But ikaw, Emil, does that affect you? Does that affect your fandom of Cody Rhodes? Yung sinabi ni Chino na you helped start this place and now you left. So will that affect how you would have seen Kenny or the Young Bucks or Hangman if they jumped ship?
Yeah, definitely. Kasi again, the E in AEW stands for the Elite. And kung mawawala sila, that's gonna be a really big piece na mawawala sa AEW. Since they're the ones who started it, they're the ones who's been there day one. This is their vision. So if they leave, kung nangyari man yon, it's gonna be a different company. It's gonna be a different show without them. So it's good actually na they stayed put kasi they have a home there and they are the franchise players there. So parang mas okay na yon kesa if they go on to WWE and just be another one of the talents there instead of the product focusing in on them. That do sa AEW sila the program or everything centers around the Elite. The big storyline centers around the Elite. So yeah, it's a good move for them, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Sabi ni Mikey, one of our OG friends and guests on the pod, he's in the comments. He says, hey, they could have just been paid a lot of money, which totoo naman, diba? Especially in a world like this where we all sell our talents and skills to the highest bidder. I don't think there's anything wrong with going to the highest bidder.
Yeah, I'm like, why does he make it sound like mali yun? At the end of the day, maybe it did just come down to a figure. Diba? Yeah. They agreed on an amount, they got the amount that they wanted, and they stayed. But at the same time, as fans, you're also trying to think na may integrity tong taong sinusuportahan mo, diba? Because you supported these guys rather at the beginning of AEW. So syempre, pag umalis yan, madidishearten ka. Diba? Yes, it's a money matter. Of course, if you look at it that way, then everything is a money matter. But
it
at the end of the
absolutely
day,
is, yeah.
Diba? At the end of the day, you also want to think na the people who started AEW also want to see AEW through. Otherwise, magbubuha lang silang pera. And that's what we don't want as fans.
Well, the reality is that brand loyalty is really some fabricated concept. Even sa mga careers natin, diba? Like a lot of you will join a company and say, oh, this is my work family, this is my second home. Pero in reality, if some shit goes down or if you get a better offer, you're bailing and you're jumping ship to whichever company pays you more. So it's just something to think about when you consider, is this person gonna stay loyal with promotion X and X or whatever, diba? So just something to chew on for everybody here. Let's say hi to Mon, the man who dunked on the PBA. Thank you and good morning. More AEW talk here. Let's talk about MJF and Adam Cole, baby. So nung collision, there was the swerve that a lot of people didn't expect, which was that MJF would not turn on Adam Cole, and now it seems like they are actual friends now. And MJF even told stories about his ADD and how he also has all these syndromes which affect the way that he deals with people. And I don't know about you guys, but I actually appreciate this origin story out of so many other origin stories in MJF, because now at least the goal is to make him more endearing. The goal is to sympathize with someone who is self-admittedly a douchebag, about their own scumbag. So, Emil, what did you think of this development?
It is so nice to finally see MJF, this new MJF that we just saw on Dynamite earlier. Kasi, again, this has been my main complaint about MJF since last year na I so want him to have some character development for once, and instead of just reverting back to his heelish ways. Na let's admit he's a great heel, pero nakakasawa na din. We want something new. We want to see the human side of Maxwell Jacob Friedman, and I'm glad that. Even though I still have my doubts as to whether this is a sincere turn or maybe this is a swerve. But it's seeing what we saw. It's a nice change of pace.
Chino, we got the match. We've got the main event for All In. They already signed their contract in the middle of the ring for everyone. MJF versus Adam Cole. What do you smell coming out of this?
I want to be optimistic like Emil here and say yes, it's all roses from here on out. We're gonna get a face MJF na acknowledge niya yung mali niya as a person, and it's a thing that we want to see in 2023. But at the same time, we're talking about AEW here.
Yeah.
We started the show dunking on Dynamite essentially. Right, like pinpointing what Dynamite hasn't changed in the 3-4 years it's been on air. So with that said, I don't put it past Tony Khan to work us with MJF. I don't put it past MJF to work us with a swerve here. Kung makuha natin as fans yung gusto natin with MJF being this new life-changing character self, then good. That's fine. That's great. We get what you want. But this is AEW, a product that still hasn't found its footing kasi yung leader nila is wishy-washy. So if that's the case from here, it's true, man. It's true. There are plenty of examples if you listen to the previous episodes of this podcast. So kung ganun lang din yung nakikita kong fallback, then, fool me once, shame on you. But fool me 500 times, I don't know, man. It's like, I have to wait and see at this point.
My favorite part out of the MJF and Adam Cole hug is how Roderick Strong was in the background being a little bitch and throwing things around. Siya yung Arthur Fist, that meme. Like, so funny, and I love it so much.
Ang nakakatawa dito si Roddy, para siyang initsyapuerang friend eh. And
yes.
If MJF does turn on Adam Cole, will Roddy be the I told you so friend? Is that his role now? Magiging pakialamero siya dun sa friendship ng dalawang tao? Because if it is, it'll be hilarious.
Or angry, bitchy Roddy could be the one to turn Adam Cole back to the dark side.
Pwede din yun.
Right? Because as we know from Adam Cole's WWE career, his face turns have never really lasted long.
I actually agree. I actually would be more interested in that. Kasi di ba nakafocus tayo kay MJF because we haven't seen this side of him in ever. Right? But Adam Cole, we know, is capable of playing both sides of the coin. So kung yan yung makukuha natin, then I'll be more interested in this rivalry.
Mm-hmm. All right, one last AEW thing before we move on to WWE. Let's talk about what CM Punk calls the Real World Championship, or what some fans on the internet have now called the AEW X World Championship. So, Emil, does AEW even need 2 official world titles, and should they have 2 world titles?
Honestly, the only way I could see 2 world titles being justified is, again, if there's gonna be a hard brand split down the line in which there's gonna be a separate roster. Even though ngayon medyo nakikita na natin siya na wrestlers who are appearing on Collision, they're not really appearing on Dynamite anymore. So, pero I'm still leaning on that. The 2 world titles thing can only be valid pag nagkaroon ng hard brand split, just like Raw and SmackDown in the WWE. Kasi so because if they're gonna be 2 separate rosters, dapat may sarili din silang world championship na for wrestlers to fight for. So if they're not gonna do that, then I don't think they should have 2 world titles.
All right. Ikaw, Chino, what did you think about CM Punk bringing the his world championship and putting the X on it?
It's another Punk thing that he tries to get his way with yet again, diba? Kasi Collision is essentially his show, diba? Collision is essentially his show. He might as well start booking the show his way kasi ganun na yung nangyayari. And now we get another promo with him putting out this new title, diba? I don't think AEW needs a second world championship I think this is just them trying to do a WWE-ism. Pero if this is where it's headed, then I agree with Emil here and say I want to see a definitive, concrete brand split. Kasi kung dalawa lang din yan, kasi lahat pwede, then what happens to the secondary title, di ba? Does it get relegated again to a mid-card title? Which is the greater title if they're supposed to be on equal footing? Then which is the one that we're supposed to watch? Masyado pang murky waters for them to bring in a secondary world title without a definite brand split.
Yeah, even if ganun ka-bloated yung roster ng AEW, like Emil, don't you think now with all of the people there on AEW, maybe a second world title could give them something to fight for?
Exactly. That's ngayon lumalaki na yung roster ng AEW. But at the same time, I don't want to have two world champions appearing on the same show. So there has to be a brand split for it to work. Or else one title is gonna mean less than the other.
All right. That's it for the AEW talk on the live stream. We've got more in the audio-only portion of this of this episode of the podcast. But first, we'll take a break. On the other side, SummerSlam predictions. But first, a quick word from our other podcasts on Podcast Network Asia. Let's go to the WWE side of things and address Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus, which was a match that a lot of people were expecting to be part of SummerSlam. But now with days to go before SummerSlam, we know na it's not part of the card. In fact, in announcing Adam Pearce that Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus is happening in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada on Raw, August 14. So that's in 2 weeks. So, Chino, what did you think of this development?
Nung una, unfortunate that it was going to take it away from the SummerSlam card because this was, if anything, a SummerSlam caliber match, diba? You got two established female superstars, one of them being a Hall of Famer who has been on SummerSlam cards before, not making it to the big show, so to speak. Medyo inabangan ko yun eh. But the fact that it's happening in Canada, in Trish's hometown, makes up for it for me kasi it's like giving the home girl her home court advantage, so to speak. So I still think it's like a consolation prize, but at least we get the Becky versus Trish in a definitive, hopefully definitive final match.
Emil, a few weeks ago, we talked about the rumored SummerSlam card and how that version had half of it as women's matches with Becky and Trish being one of them. Are you one of those na disappointed now we're not getting a Rhea match, we're not getting Becky versus Trish?
Oh yes, definitely. Kasi this feud has been happening since what? May or June? So
Yeah.
they have been building this up to a climax that's gonna happen at SummerSlam. So napaka-unfortunate lang na they're bumped off the SummerSlam card. And as much as I understand the principle of the new era of having only 6 to 8 matches sa PLE cards, they didn't deserve to be bumped off of that card kasi this has been one of the major feuds on Raw since the summer started. So parang
But here's the thing, Emil, not to cut you off here, but if you say that they didn't deserve to get cut out of the card, who did?
Wala naman.
It's a trick question because the answer is no one deserves
No
it. You know what I
one.
mean?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
mahirap talaga. It's a
Yeah.
hard decision to make.
Exactly. That's why I'm not the one who's making decisions there. Pero yun talaga, sobrang hirap nun. Sobrang hirap nun, and I feel sorry for both of them. Pero yun na nga, yung silver lining dito, yung sinasabi ni Chino is that they're gonna get a lot of time for this match on Raw in Canada. Probably this is gonna be the main event of that show. So I'm sure they're gonna have this chip on their shoulder to deliver to send a message na we deserve that spot on the card, and we're gonna show you that we're two of the best to ever do it here in Trish's hometown in Canada. So that's the silver lining for me out of this development.
Home country lang naman. It's in
Home
Winnipeg.
country.
Trish Stratus is
Yes.
from Toronto. So magagalit yung mga taga Winnipeg, which is Jericho, Omega, and Don Callis.
Yeah.
Yes, Mon. Mommy
Yeah.
isn't booked for a match at SummerSlam either. Speaking of getting booked, let's get to the card. We've got SummerSlam predictions, and we're going to start right away because Logan Paul needs to get out of SummerSlam fast because he's coming out with Jake Paul during his fight against Nate Diaz on the same night. So, na-rumor na rin to on the internet
Oh.
actually na the show will start with Ricochet versus Logan Paul. So, it's only appropriate na dito tayo magsisimula. Emil, any
kinda has to,
expectations for
yeah.
this match?
Expectations for this match. Honestly, I wouldn't mind Logan Paul winning kasi he has been losing a lot lately, and I think he's credible na enough to get a win over Ricochet. So I'll go with Logan Paul here, and it's gonna be a show stealer for sure.
Mm-hmm. Ikaw, Chino, what do you think of the whole conversation nila na Ricochet's the guy who paid his dues on the indies and the one who's been here for decades and decades, whereas si Logan Paul is just someone who was able to get in the back door because sikat siya?
Yeah, no, we talked about this in previous episodes of the pod. Old Chino would say, yes, you are right, Stan. Dapat Ricochet tayo dahil wrestling fans tayo. But at the same time, I understand what people like Logan Paul, Ronda Rousey, and the like bring to the table. Kasi yung mga katulad nila, also bring their fan base with them. And if the WWE's goal is to reach as many people as possible, then you need mainstream talents like your Logan Paul, your Pat McAfee's, and your Ronda Rouseys to step in the squared circle and show them what they got. Diba? They got Bad Bunny. Nagalit ba tayo kay Bad Bunny nung nag-destroyer siya? Siyempre hindi.
No, we love Benito on this pod.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, ako, yes, kupal yung mga Pauls and I don't support their product at all. I think Prime is trash. I think everything they do is trash. But they bring something to the table. And as long as you bring something to the table, as long as hindi ka doon parang pabigat ka or you're like a comedy segment and then you steal the spot from a deserving wrestler, and that's a different story. This would be like one of those spot fests that people like to talk on the internet about so much. Diba? And it's a good way to start a card kasi who doesn't want to see people flying around the ring for 10 minutes or so? And that's
Yeah,
it.
who doesn't want to see anyone throw a punch at Logan Paul?
Exactly. Yun pa, diba? Yun pa. You get to hit Logan Paul, one of the most hated people on the internet, and you get to see Ricochet fly around like Logan Paul. Sana lang, ito lang yung gusto ko. If Logan Paul wins, that's fine. I think he's gonna win anyway. Sana lang may logic ulit sila with the whole double springboard into each other. Kasi walang sense yun eh. Like, doing that really just, there's only one way that ends, right? So, sana the next time they do it, they think about their consequences, because there was no point in that whatsoever.
All right, so official predictions for this one, guys, just to recap. Chino, you said Logan Paul. Ikaw, Emil.
Yeah, I already said Logan Paul.
All right, people in the comments, let us know as well. Ito si JK, sabi niya, Ricochet daw siya. So people, let us know who you think is going to come out of this one. Let's get to the next match. Yes, Emil.
For sure, this will open, if this is going to be the match opening at SummerSlam, for sure, ito yung magiging pampagising ng mga people who's going to be watching sa Skinny Mics, because people are this one is going to blow off the roof of...
People will be loud. I'm sure. I'm sure you guys will be loud at the sports bar. All right, let's move on to the SummerSlam Battle Royal. Yeah! Kakaunti pa lang yung mga announced na participants. So we know LA Knight's in there, Shinsuke Nakamura's in there, Ciampa, Chad Gable and Otis, Sheamus, and everyone else will be filled in as we go along here. But I think there's only really one name here, right? It's LA Knight. Yeah!
Yeah. Enough said. I mean, this is gonna be their way of at least giving us what we want, and having LA Knight be victorious at the PLE. So, give them the LA Knight. It's gonna be one of the best moments of the night for sure.
Yeah, ako din. If they don't give it to LA Knight at this point, then mapapaisip na ako what their plans are with the guy. Kasi he's been putting in the work, he's been putting himself over and the product over for the longest time now, kahit hindi siya nananalo. So, I don't know, man. If they don't give him the card, if they don't give him the win, rather, I don't really know what their plan is with LA Knight.
To answer Glendale, hindi pa natin alam what the prize is for the winner. Ito si babyface producer Jasper bumabanat sa comments. What if hindi pa rin siya? Ito, it's good that you're asking this because may report yung PW Insider that WWE execs are extremely high on LA Knight and that the way he's been booked on TV is all by plan. So planado daw talaga and he's being booked specifically in a way na hindi masasayang yung appearances niya. Yun yung lumabas na report from PW Insider. It's up to you whether or not you want to believe it, but I think we're at a point where the fans are getting really loud for LA Knight and he's becoming undeniable. So I would be shocked if the winner of the Battle Royal was a person not named LA Knight. Right, let's move on here to the Intercontinental Championship. It is the Ring General Gunther defending against Drew McIntyre. And it's Drew's first PLE match since WrestleMania when he faced Gunther and Sheamus for the Intercontinental Championship. And based on that precedent, I think we can expect another banger. The question is, Chino, do you think Drew is the guy to knock Gunther off?
I do not think that it is Drew's time to walk away with the IC title. I feel like if there's anybody that's going to break Gunther's record-setting IC title run, it has to be somebody that can actually use that momentum. Diba? Therefore, I feel like it will be a newer guy that does it. Probably LA Knight, probably somebody else. But Drew McIntyre, nothing against him, has already been an established commodity in the WWE. Therefore, giving him the opportunity to break Gunther's record-breaking, in fact, title run here as the IC champion doesn't do as much for him as it would somebody like LA Knight. So, kung ako sa kanila, this is just me speaking here, I wouldn't give it to Drew. So, I'm picking Gunther in this matchup.
I mean, that sounded great and all, except Gunther and LA Knight are on separate brands. So I'm not sure how that's going to work out right now after SummerSlam.
Whoever, like somebody else, diba? Na hindi, you get what I'm saying, right? Like somebody else.
Okay, Emil, is Drew going to break Gunther's streak here?
I don't think so because I think they're gonna have Gunther break the IC title record, the Honky Tonk Man. So I don't think he's gonna lose the title yet. And honestly, hindi si Drew yung gusto ko na makadethron kay Gunther. I have someone in mind, and it's not Drew McIntyre. And kasi yun na nga, wala na Drew can lose this match and still be credible. And Chino is also right na if someone's gonna beat Gunther, it has to be someone that will be elevated after winning over Gunther. So it's not Drew. So I'll stick with Gunther here for the win.
All right. Look at you, thinking all old school now. Yeah, someone has to be elevated. I like that. Okay, next up, MMA rules match, Ronda Rousey versus Shayna Baszler. Now, before we discuss the match, I just want to give props to yung team nina Jeremy Borash and Paul Heyman who put together that really wonderful video package on Raw. Medyo mahaba siya, mga 7+ minutes, so they had to split it into 2 segments on Raw. But goddamn, that video package was so expertly put together. It really built on yung real-life friendship in the Ronda and Shayna, their history with one another, the way that the interview segments were cut up such that they would give their own perspectives on the story, on their relationship with one another. Chef's kiss really added gravitas to the match. So I just wanted to put it out there because that video package really deserved some love. That being said, hindi pa natin alam what an MMA rules match is in pro wrestling, other than, I guess, it being straight up called like an actual MMA match.
I don't know why they couldn't just do it in the fight pit since that's technically what an MMA rules match. Baka ayaw ni Ronda Rousey, diba? Maybe it's too hardcore for her. I don't know. But maybe an MMA match just necessarily means a fight pit match without the fight pit, diba? It's going to be
And without
shooting and
DC.
some, diba? Shooting without the Cormier. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know, man. If we're going to say MMA rules, then I would like to see it played out MMA style, diba? Ronda Rousey, I don't know if you guys are MMA fans, but Ronda Rousey's MMA game is pretty one dimensional. So she relies on overpowering her opponents on the ground a lot of the times, diba? That's why she was able to do what she did under the UFC. So sana ganun din yung booking ng mangyari, diba? Like, where she just does that all throughout and doesn't do drop kicks or clotheslines or whatever. Diba? Kung MMA rules nga talaga siya.
Yeah. Let's say hi to one of our fellow podcasters, Troy Gonzalez of the Turning Heel podcast. Thanks for tuning in, Troy, and go check out that interview that Troy's working on with Camille of the NWA, the NWA Women's Champion. So
Nice.
that was something I saw on Instagram. Congrats again on getting that interview.
Congrats.
But going back here, Emil, MMA rules match, Ronda versus Shayna, may rumors pa na this might be Ronda's last match in WWE. So what do you think about that heading into this one?
Well, with that reports that rumor, I think Shayna gets the rub here and wins very very dominantly. I think, and this could easily elevate her to the main title scene again, to the women's world championship scene again, if she beats Ronda convincingly. And yung reports naman nagsasabi like Ronda wants to give back to Shayna for years, for helping her in her WWE run. So I feel like that's what's gonna happen here. She's gonna put over Shayna here and have a graceful exit after this one.
Yeah, a lot of people surprisingly commenting Shayna here dito sa Facebook live stream natin. So, just officially for the predictions, Shayna rin ba kayong dalawa?
Yes.
Yeah, Shayna.
I'm saying Shayna Baszler in this one.
All right. Let's stick with the women here and talk about that triple threat for the WWE Women's Championship. It's Asuka defending against Bianca and Charlotte. And we've said on the pod before, na even though Asuka's the champion, the story feels more like it's Bianca and Charlotte's story, with Asuka just being the plot device dahil siya yung champion. So what do you think about this? Will Asuka be the center of the story again? Are we getting a new champion? Does Asuka retain? And does Io Sky cash in? Because Io's from SmackDown and she's got money in the bank. So lots of questions to answer here. Let's start with Emil.
My prediction here is Asuka will retain, and then Charlotte and Bianca will go on to have their own feud, and Asuka needs to move on to another feud. Possibly, I think Io cashes in as well, and they will have their own feud for the WWE Women's Championship. I think that's what's going to
cash
happen.
in Io. What's your call here?
Ooh, that's good because there's also an ongoing story between Io and Bailey with the damage control, and they're kind of teasing breakup in there. So I think Io tries to cash. She tries to. At least what will happen is she will try to cash in. If it's successful or not remains to be seen. Pero,
no, make a prediction. That's the point of the pod, dude.
Okay, sige. She cashes in successfully.
Okay,
that's
so
my
new
prediction.
champion.
Yep, and then Asuka and Io will have their own feud. And then Charlotte and Bianca can now go on their separate ways so that at least yung sa feud ni Asuka, siya na yung nasa spotlight.
All right. Ikaw, Chino, rearrange all of these messy toys.
There's I hate to say it, but I can see either Charlotte or Bianca walking away with the title here. It's a triple threat, diba? These things are set up in such a way where surprises can always happen. And we're talking about a triple threat match in SummerSlam, diba? So they want this to be big. They want people to talk about it. That said, I don't want to think that Triple H and company are doing Asuka dirty, diba? Since she's already been done dirty by the previous administration here. So I would still want to cheer for Asuka. I'm picking Asuka, but I don't put it beyond them to put the title on either Charlotte or Bianca kahit hindi na kailangan nung feud na yun yung title. Whether or not there is a cash in, I will say no, there won't be a cash in because I think they should wrap up Bailey and Io first before they even tease Io and somebody else. Kasi pag ganun, edi 5 na silang nasa title hunt, diba? So, ang
Well,
gulo
it's
na
kind of been like that
masyado.
for the last few weeks, diba? Na 5 silang nasa title
Yeah,
picture.
diba? Well, kind of is different from actually being five in the pool, diba? So, at least yun, hindi pa naman confirmed na 5 talaga sila. It's just if anything, it's 3A and it's 2 and it's 3B, right? So, alam na natin talaga who is in the title hunt, which is itong tatlong babae on your screens right now, and then there's Bailey and Io on the sidelines. So, I much rather see them wrap that up nice and neatly before they make Io actually chase after the title.
All right. We're down to the last 3 matches. We're going to talk about the Beast, Brock Lesnar, taking on Cody Rhodes. It is the grudge match, or the rubber match, rather, for these 3. Who comes away with a pivotal second win? Let's start with Chino.
Brock pa rin ako eh. As much as I want to see Cody Rhodes win, I think Brock is still just gonna whoop him. And then they're going to go on a third match. Why would they go on a third match if Cody still hasn't beaten Brock?
Teka,
It's
third
because-
match na to, Chino.
Third match, ano sabi mo second win?
No, second
No, they're
win kasi
tied.
1-1 sila.
Ah, pala, yeah. Sorry. Third match pala to. Sorry, I misunderstood it. Tama pala. So, Cody Rhodes wins in this case. Kasi Cody Rhodes has been spending the last few months being beaten down by Brock Lesnar. And yes, natalo na siya kay Brock. So, I feel like if they really want to make Cody a credible contender for the Uwu Championship or whatever championship they're going to make him chase after, he needs a landmark win in his career. But I think a landmark win against Brock Lesnar, a rivalry against Brock Lesnar, is a good way to showcase that. So I'm going to say Cody Rhodes.
Ikaw, Emil, any shot Brock just manhandles Cody and then makes him even more of an underdog here?
Nah, this feud needs to be wrapped up. And again, I will agree with Chino. Cody has to get his win here, and it has to be a decisive win. Unless that they could wrap up the story, and because they've been feuding since April, so it's been what 4 months now that they've been feuding. Except for that 1 month break where Brock was out. So Cody gets his win, finishes the story, and he can go on with feuding with another guy. So Cody here with the win.
Yeah, it's all in the service of finishing the story. So he can finish this story, then move on to finishing the other story, which involves Roman Reigns, diba?
Yeah.
Before we move on to the 2 World Championship matches, eto na, yung mga friends natin sa comments, they're bringing up names that we haven't seen in a while. Predictions, guys. Are we seeing the return of Bray Wyatt or Randy Orton or any other wrestler that we might have forgotten about who's on the shelf? Someone like a Big E.
Pwede.
Pwede. There's a
Yeah,
possibility.
pwede.
Yeah.
Which one?
I
Which
can
one would you
easily
call?
see. I can easily see Orton RKOing Cody after he wins against Brock. Like that to me is something I can predict happening. And then if Orton does want to retire, kasi may mga rumors din dyan saying that he's been wanting to retire after this really long streak of injuries. And then it will be a good send-off for Orton, especially since konti na lang, main niya na, diba? And it'll be a good setup for Orton to go out to Cody Rhodes. But I don't know. That's me being optimistic here. As far as Bray is concerned, I don't know if we're going to see him anytime soon or even at all. Kasi masyado siyang wishy-washy. Not him per se, but the way they've treated the character and the way he's been treated as a wrestler has been pretty iffy from what my perspective. So I don't know if this is the time we see Bray or if we even see Bray at all.
Mm-hmm. Ikaw, Emil.
Yeah. After what happened with the break character when he came back last year, I really don't I really don't want to see Bray back anytime soon. Probably he won't be back anytime soon as well. So I'd rather have siguro if someone's gonna return, I'd rather have it Randy because there's a history there between Cody and Randy rather than Cody and Bray. And they can harken back to that history, and they can feud again, and then, Cody wraps up that story as well. Then he goes on to the bigger fish, which is Roman. So Randy Orton is a great stopgap before he could get through that. So I'll go do that.
Grabe. Yung Randy Orton, ginawang pampalipas oras, no?
Yeah,
Bago siya balik sa path to facing Roman Reigns. All right. Let's move on to the World Heavyweight Championship. It's Seth freaking Rollins versus Finn Balor. Does Finn make Seth his 7-year bitch, Chino?
Yes. Because I feel like this is correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like this is the first big feud that Seth's had for this title, diba? And he's been promising, diba? He's been promising to make this title great, that he's a fighting champion. Kung matatalo siya right away after his first big feud, then I don't know what that does to Seth freaking Rollins. Like, pretty sure he can recover, sure. Pwede siya mag-recover. Pero it hurts him more than it hurts Finn Balor. Because yung Judgment Day, parang ngayon lang ulit sila lumakas diba? In my perspective. Ngayon lang sila ulit lumakas from my perspective. And so, giving them the title right away when they're only starting to build steam might not be the best move for the title. Diba? Because we don't know what else Seth can do from here on out. I rather see it with an established champion like Seth Rollins, and more than I see it being switched from person to person. So I'll say Seth Rollins from this point.
All right. Ito si JK, torn between two winners. So I hope you're not feeling like a fool. Emil, who are you picking here?
This might be a controversial pick, but please have Balor win for once.
Why is that controversial, Emil?
Because, again, the popular pick is Seth Rollins because of all the reasons Gino said. But, kasi Finn has been talking all this smack in the last couple of months. And if he loses again, magmumukha na siyang noob. Because he has challenged this man over and over again. And di niya pa natalo si Seth. So, magmumukha siyang kawawa dito. And it's time. I think Seth has already done everything to establish the World Heavyweight Championship, in my opinion. And it's time for someone else to win it. And a Finn Balor win would create a new story. It would lead to more tension within the Judgment Day. Maybe you could have the storyline of Finn becoming paranoid that his buddy has the money in the bank briefcase that he can cash in on him anytime. So, mas magiging interesting yung storylines after SummerSlam if Finn Balor would be the one to leave SummerSlam as the World Heavyweight Champion.
For the record, Emil, the comments have been saying Finn more than Seth. So I think Finn's the popular pick in our neck of the woods. But let's ask Ro to break the tie since he's back on the stream.
I think I'm back on the stream. Is this better?
No, medyo may lag pa rin.
Just like a good few seconds.
Is any better? Or that?
No, not really.
Fucking not. Okay.
No.
Okay, so I don't think Ro's gonna answer the question then.
All right, never mind.
Okay.
I'll do everything in the other...
Sige. I'm gonna break the tie then, since we don't normally leave things unsettled on the pod, lalo na pag predictions. I think it's Finn's time. I think the Judgment Day have deserved it as a faction. They've really made their mark across all of the WWE TV shows. And it would be a great visual to have Finn as the world champion, Rhea as the women's world champion, Dom as North American champion, and then Damian Priest as Senior Money in the Bank. I'm always all in on factions having something to hold, right? Like we went through that row, so it was a great feeling. And to see that visualized with another faction on WWE television, we saw that with the Bloodline and with Evolution in the past. So there's no reason why they can't say, "Oh, let's do it again with the Judgment Day." So I think this is it. I think Finn scratches that 7-year itch and makes Seth the 7-year bitch at SummerSlam. All right. We are going to go to Tribal Combat now, yung main event, or the presumptive main event. It's the undisputed WWE Universal Championship and the recognition of Tribal Chief on the line. So whoever wins this match gets the ulafala, or the lei that Roman Reigns has been wearing for over 3 years. Chino, is Jay the one to knock off the only one?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. I want to say yes, but there's the kasi pag nag-yes ako, there's still a part of me that's saying no eh. Diba? Kasi yes, he could use the record-setting break, breaking the record-setting title run of Roman Reigns. Diba? Yes, he could use that. But at the same time, there are bigger fish in the WWE sea. But we were just talking about Cody Rhodes. What happens to that part of his story kung natalo ni Jay si Roman Reigns? Diba? This whole time, nag-start siya from WrestleMania of last year. So kung matatalo si Roman Reigns, then there's no reason for Cody and Roman to have that rematch that he's been clamoring for a year. Diba? So I feel like this makes this does a disservice to Jey Uso, making him lose to his cousin yet again. Kasi it doesn't benefit his character arc for him to lose to Roman Reigns kasi predictable na yan. Nakita na natin yan. Diba? But then at the same time, I don't think Roman is losing to Jey Uso kasi nga we have the other plot point that I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying Roman Reigns.
Okay. Emil, ikaw.
I have watched enough WWE in the last 3 years to not put any hope in myself that Roman's gonna lose. I've been burned by this so many times, especially in the last year where I thought, Sami Zayn is gonna win the title, or Cody Rhodes is finally gonna finish this story. So I've had enough of that. So I don't wanna put any expectations in a Jey Uso win. Plus, I think Jay already got his revenge. He already beat Roman on Money in the Bank. For me, that was the end of his story. He closed that chapter of his story because he finally overcame Roman. He finally stood up to Roman. So itong title match ito, parang bonus na lang to, I guess, for Jay. But I don't think he's gonna win over Roman. I just don't think it's gonna happen. If Cody didn't win over Roman, if Sammy didn't win over Roman, if Drew McIntyre didn't win over Roman, I don't think Jey Uso will win over Roman Reigns. I just don't think it's gonna happen.
Wow, that is as emphatic as we've heard Emil on this podcast.
Ever.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. The frustration and the emotion, ramdam na ramdam natin. Emil's growing up, guys. Okay, last prediction before we wrap up the SummerSlam predictions. Is Damian Priest cashing in on a world championship?
I don't think so. Not yet. Kasi of the reasons I said earlier. Now that is gonna be the storyline after SummerSlam for Raw for the World Heavyweight Championship. Is that they're gonna create that tension within Judgment Day.
Yeah, puede. Mm-hmm. I think if he does cash it in, it's to break up the Judgment Day. So if it does it on SummerSlam, kung nanalo si Finn and he cashes in on Finn, I'd be very surprised.
Yeah, it would be kind of sick and funny if Damian Priest cashed in on Finn that night or like on the very next Raw. And parang, haha, I can't give you a reign that lasts more than a day or two.
Oh, yun
Like,
pa,
just a troll thing to do. Just a very troll thing to do if you were Damian Priest and a supposed friend to Finn Balor. All right, those are our predictions for SummerSlam. Let us know what you think. Whether you're watching this in the live streams, the comments on Facebook and YouTube, or on Spotify. You can also hit us up on Twitter and on TikTok at Wrestling2XPod with your comments and predictions for SummerSlam. We've still got the audio-only part. We'll talk about a couple of things like the AEW ECW Nostalgia Tour, how different Collision feels compared to Dynamite and Rampage, some thoughts on Great American Bash, which happened over the weekend, by the way, and Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes having an amicable separation. So all of that in the audio-only portions of the podcast. But first, let's get to some plugs. Let's start off with Chino.
Yes, so it's around the same time last year where I did my first 1 hour special. So I decided to do it again, my second hour ever in stand up. It's happening this August 26th, Saturday, 9 p.m., Wicked Dogs BGC. As you can see, I am bringing some friends with me as well. Rondo Latre, Chanchan Conseng, Jeannie Lakay, and Judd Gregorio. That is for happening this Saturday. Sorry, 3 Saturdays from now, August 26th, Wicked Dogs BGC. For tickets, all you have to do is go to comedymanila.ph. All the shows will be there. All the stuff that you want to know about stand up will be on comedymanila.ph. Also, hey, I just started recording my podcast again. So please check out the first episode of season 4 of the Class Clown podcast. It's up on Spotify. And for everything else, it's at Chino Supersized.
All right. For me, I want to plug this new podcast I'm a part of. I'm recapping Heel season 2. So if you're watching that show wherever the high seas you sail, I'm recapping that on Post Show Recaps, which is a sister network of Rob as a podcast, which is a survivor centric network I've been following for years. So American and Canadians yung audience nila, and I get to cover it alongside Grace Leader, who's a very talented co-host. So if you're following the journey of the DWL, you can follow it with us on post show recaps. Just look for the Heels season 2 recap over there. It's not hard to find. Another plug, syempre, SummerSlam on the WWE Network. If you are Team Bahay for the PLE, then go catch it on Disney Plus. Or if you wanna, do your thing and find the Tagalog commentary, you know what to do. You know what's up. Ro, you want to plug your podcast? Parang naglalag pa si Ro. Sige, so let's put over Ro's podcast as well. It's Unmasked, The Adventures of Ro Moran and Sandata. The new episode for this week is about the second biggest debacle in Philippine wrestling history, which is Manila Madness, a show that I had the fortune and misfortune of being a part of. I won a battle royal there, but also we displaced fire evacuees. So yay, you get to hear all of the details over on the most recent episode of Unmasked. Emil, may question ka ba?
No, I just want to say yung latest episode is probably my latest favorite episode so far, because yes, narinig ko na yung what happened before on this podcast, but Ro went into details and nabigla ako dun sa fact na there were only 5 people watching, like 5 people who paid to go there.
Due to my memory, there were only 3 people, so I'm glad Ro remembers another 2 extra people there. It was George Pastor, friend of the podcast, Martin Vicencio, friend of the podcast, Anthony Coelho, friend of the podcast, and 2 other people I can't seem to remember.
Yeah, so again, go if you haven't listened to this episode, please do. Like for me, this is my favorite episode of the podcast so far. Sobrang daming sobrang dami kong nalaman on that episode na really like napawawa ko, or like whoa, those moments,
Yeah,
those reactions. Whoa.
Well, thank you for putting
Thank you for putting the pod over, Emil.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can ask us these questions offline, right? So you can always just DM us about this stuff. We're open books here. Last plug, MWF on Rock of Manila TV. Thank you so much to the RJ Network, to the big boss Ramon Jacinto himself, and Rock of Manila for having MWF there. We made our debut on July 31, and every Monday at 9 p.m. you can catch the show on Rock of Manila TV. It's MWF Action Novela TV. You get to hear Rose dulcet tones alongside Sunny Go. They're on commentary, and all the antics we get up to on Oro Plata Mata and everyone else who's part of the MWF universe. Mapapanood nyo every Monday night at 9 p.m. simulcast yan on TV sa Rock of Manila and on the Facebook and YouTube channels of Rock of Manila TV. For everything else, it is at Wrestling2X Pod on TikTok and on Twitter, and on Facebook, Instagram, and Spotify, it's at Wrestling Podcast. Individually, it's at Chino Supersize, at Monday Night Rowan, at EML_Meister, at Roiswar, and at _Stan C. Thank you very much to babyface producer Jasper at the controls and everyone else behind the scenes over at Podcast Network Asia. Thanks for tuning in and for catching us wherever you might have found the podcast. And on behalf of Romoran, Chino Liao, and Emil ASH, my name is Stan C, saying stay safe, stay healthy, and don't be a dick. Wrestling Podcast out. See you at SummerSlam. Peace out.